Right, so in this video, I'm going to talk to you about the best way and why you should journal. The best way to journal and what it means for you. So, here I have my journal. This is it, right? It's a simple fucking small notebook that's actually, it's like had its thing ripped off. So, just kind of, this is like the journal, and I kind of have that cover. But this is the book, right? It's a small little journal thing. And it's the fifth one. It's the fifth book that I've had so far that I'm doing. I've had four before, just kind of the same deal that I filled out on during an entire year. And so I'm going to talk you through. Fucking hate that, dude. I fucking hate that when they do that, bro. Fuck me. I'm going to talk you through what I'm writing in here and how it helps me. Because I know a lot of people don't seem to understand. They think that like journaling is a bit cringe, it's a bit stupid because all you're doing, it's kind of like you're just kind of writing your thoughts on a piece of paper, and it's a bit pacey and I don't want to do it and this and that. Think about this and consider this fucking video, okay? Right, so let's start. This is it, right? I fill it up with a bunch of shit. So this one entry has one, two, three. It has 3 pages worth of writing in it, and that I wrote down in one day, in one sitting. I usually start this off, and I write down the date and the place that I'm in, and I write the time because I like these kinds of small details. Because always when I look back and when I look through my older journals, I always like having this idea of this context of when I was writing this, what I was doing at the time, and everything, right? If I don't always necessarily mention that context. So, I have the date here written down. So I just kind of say today it's this date and I'm in this place. And it's around, for example, I said it's around 12:30 p.m. as of when I'm writing this. And then I write like a brief overview of my day in which I'm like, and today I've woken up early, done my routine exercises, meditated, spoke to my friend for a little bit, and recorded a video and started writing this. And then after I write this down, after I write this first part, this first block after, the date and the introduction, which I basically talk about like what the activities that I've done in this day today, I all I always get these. I always end up falling silent for a minute. I don't just keep writing things down like fucking a robot, just writing 3 pages down like a fucking maniac, right? No. For this entire thing, these entire 3 pages, they could take up from like 30 minutes of intense writing up to an hour and a half of just that, it really depends on the things that I'm talking about. It depends on the things that how easy the subject comes up in my mind and everything. And so, I always take a minute just after this initial thing. I take a minute and I think and I scour my brain and my thoughts, and I think to myself, what is something meaningful that has happened that I think should really be worth mentioning? And then I write it down. Yesterday at around this time, I went on a call with two other guys and spoke to them for a decently long while. Like 2 hours, I think. It was the first call within my Discord server, and it was very nice, I think. I spoke to some of the boys, both around my age. And it goes on like this for a long time. It goes on for how long? For it depends just how much I can literally write until I exhaust the subject itself, right? And so I write this down for a little bit and I'm just kind of talking about it and this and that, and this is what I've done today. And also this is something that I'm thinking about. This is something that has gone. And as I keep writing those things, I always end up having a lot of intense thoughts. I always end up having some deep thoughts, which end up bringing a lot of insight to my life. See, here I write something down. Things are going well as of right now. I do also feel physically stronger and more capable when looking in the mirror. I really think the Discord calls have a valuable impact on the people attending, including myself. I can also learn more about the things they're interested in and make some content specifically about these things. I can learn with what issues they're struggling and focus on more on providing a good, valid, valuable solution. These are all conclusions that I come to just by writing down the things that are going out on throughout my day. And you see, there's things through here that just end up happening. There's always things that when I journal, when I write, there's always ideas that are just sitting in my brain that are just waiting to be put down on paper. And so that's exactly what I do. I don't have any kind of limitation. This is my own personal journal. I don't really show this to anyone else aside from the people watching this video. I don't care if somebody's gonna like go through it. Like, it's not the end of the world if somebody like just reads my entries. I don't care. It would actually be nice because maybe some people would actually get some more context into what I'm thinking and what I'm doing. But you know, I'm not making people do that. You know, I write exactly what goes on in my mind. I write exactly the thoughts that come in my mind as I'm thinking of a subject, as I'm thinking about my day, as I'm thinking about my life. With no limitations, I write exactly what the hell goes into my mind. Even if it's things that I don't even want to think about. Even if it's things that sometimes make me feel like shit. That's the most important time when you should be writing those things down. Because you writing down the things that make you feel like shit, especially when you know that I don't want to write this down. Like, this is gonna be painful to even like see in front of me. That's the thing. That's literally what you want to do. When you have a problem and you feel like it's really getting to you, when you write it down on a piece of paper and you see it there, you see it in front of you written down somewhere. I have this problem and this is the issue that I'm dealing with. It's suddenly you just get out of this, you get out of the trenches. You know, the trenches would be you fighting this problem head on, and there, your mind is just caught up with it. Once you write it down on a piece of paper and you see it there, you see the specific problem that you formulated, you've written down. You're out of the trenches. You're overlooking the trenches. You're overlooking the battle going on under you. But you're higher up and you're safe, and you're looking back on this and you have a new sense of context, a new sense of meaning, and you think to yourself, okay, how can I fix this? And then solutions start coming in, and then you have more ideas about what you should do, and you have all these skins. When you just rely on your mind to think and to make all these kinds of processes, it can get very tiring and very confusing really fast. For me, it's really pissy whenever I just try to think about an issue and try to fix it just by using my mind. Like, that sometimes is just very difficult to me because like probably everyone does, we have like a lot of thoughts. We get hundreds of thoughts in very few moments. Like a minute, maybe we get like 100 thoughts per minute. So our day is filled with thousands and thousands of thoughts about a related subject or not related. Like, our brain is literally, our mind, our imagination is fucking pumping this shit up. And so by you writing the specific thing that you want to think about in that exact moment, by me writing down a specific thing that I'm thinking about right now, I take away all those thoughts that are irrelevant, and I only have this one left. This thought about this one thing that I'm writing about, and everything else is gone. Everything else doesn't exist anymore. For a short while, until I finish journaling, those things don't exist anymore, and I'm focused on this one thing, and this one thing only. And so I write it down, I think about it, I write more about it, I literally write everything, all the thoughts in my mind that get produced about this one thing. I write those things down because your brain, it's not like your brain is just gonna be limited to 5 thoughts per minute about this. It's like that's impossible. Your brain is constantly fucking doing shit. And so in, instead of having all these kinds of unrelated thoughts from this one, when you journal, you end up literally bringing more of the attention and the brain capacity towards this one thing. And that's why you suddenly find solutions. That's why sometimes suddenly things get much easier to solve. That's why suddenly like it seems obvious. It's because you're directing 10 times more brain capacity, mental capacity that would have otherwise been used on these all kinds of other unrelated thoughts. You're using all of that brain capacity and you're putting it towards this one thought. And people, they don't get it. Like, a lot of people just think to themselves, yeah, I just write things down on a piece of paper. How the hell is it gonna help me? Well, that's exactly, like, think about it, dude. Why are you meditating? And probably those people, they're not even meditating. They're like, oh, well, that's stupid, bro. I'm sitting with my eyes closed like this, and I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. I'm focusing on my breath. Like, what is that gonna do? Just because, like, you've known this, bro. Just because those things, just because some things don't end up having an immediate impact on you, doesn't mean that they're not good for you. You play video games? Oh, they don't have an immediate impact on your mind and your body, but in a good while, you're gonna realize just how fucking much time you've wasted and how fucking depressed and antisocial and horrible you feel about yourself. Just fucking wait. And I've waited, and I've done that. It took me 7 months. And not, I don't mean 7 months of like gaming. I mean, it's all the fucking time that I've spent on video games, like comprised together, it's like 7,000 hours. A bit more, maybe. Like, that is more than 7 months worth of time spent just playing games. Just like literally nothing else. Like me just playing computer games, like more than 7 months. And so it comes after that, If back then I would have literally, back then, I would have taken a piece of paper and I would have journaled about my issues with my life back then, the fact that I was becoming more and more antisocial and that I was not doing well with people and that I was just always being insecure and scared and fucked up with my mind. If I would have journaled about that, I would probably fix my life 10 times faster. Like, journaling, it can be so fucking powerful and people don't realize it. Like, I don't even know, dude. Like, people, there's just some things that people don't seem to understand that probably I don't even understand. Like, probably there's some other things on there that I'm not doing that are absolutely fucking life changing. And so that's something that I have to get more educated on. But for now, consider fucking journaling. If you're not already journaling, or you feel like you're just journaling but it doesn't really have an effect on you, and you're kind of considering not doing it anymore. Because it just feels like a waste of your time. It's not a waste of your time. It has a high return on investment in the long run. Just like the gym does. It's exactly like the fucking gym, but at least you don't feel like the muscles being fucking painful in the moment as you would feel at the gym, because that's something that kind of gives you a shake, a wake up to reality, and you're like, yeah, okay, this is actually doing something. When you're just journaling, you feel like, yeah, I didn't do much. But that's when you think, but that, like, journal it for like 3 pages and sit out for like an hour and a half straight and just journal for 3 pages and then come out of that and analyze your mind very well. Like, just do it. This is like a really good experiment. Like, write down a journal entry and make it as detailed about your life and about as important about everything as you possibly can. And you come out of that fucking journaling session and you will have probably at least 75% of the solutions to all of the problems that you've written down, and you've come to a bunch of conclusions about your life. Like, this is what happens almost every single time that I fucking journal. Like, I end up having these meaningful conclusions that I wouldn't otherwise thought of. Because again, when you have your brain capacity is focused on 10 million things at the same time, of course you're not going to be able to think deeply about one thing. So why not just take all of those things away and focus on one thing and bring all of that brain capacity that was used on all these other things, bring that into this and focus entirely on this one single thing that's going on in your life. It can be a problem, it can be an achievement, it can be something that matters to you. It doesn't matter, but what is important is that you focus on that and you write down the specific thing. And once the thoughts once you have the thoughts coming in, because they will literally at some point you'll get into this flow state and you'll just be writing things down like robotically, like you won't even think about it, bro. But that is when you have to be conscious about it, that you might be taking some things away that you should actually write down. You're like literally canceling some thoughts that you have just because you don't want to address them. Just because your brain is like, oh, no, I don't want to think about that right now. That is when you have to step in and you have to think to yourself, I don't want to think about it. Okay. Then it means that it's something bad, and it means that it's something that's actually impacting my life. I will force myself to think about it. I will force myself to think about this damn thing. Just like it happened to me, with this idea of, taking a step back from dating and actually focusing more on the other things in my life. I didn't want to think about it, bro, because I hated the idea just of upon first thought of like, oh shit, I think it would be time that I actually kind of take a step back for a while and I focus, or at least I literally very, very, very much up my standards for the people that I want in my life. Like, I didn't want to think about it because that was very inconvenient for me. That just brought a lot of mental strain that I just didn't want, but I needed. And so I journal about it. Like, I have like at least maybe 10 entries in which I just journal about that, specifically about that. Like pages and pages, like a bunch of pages, bro, of literally just me journaling about how taking a step back from dating could actually help me, could actually bring me a plus for now. That I could focus more on my work, I could focus more on the things that matter to me. And once that happens, I will be much more capable of spending time with girls and doing this and doing that. This is how journaling impacts you. It gives you all these insightful, meaningful conclusions about your life, about one thing that you've thought of, or maybe that you haven't even thought of. It just literally brings the best out in you. It brings the golden thoughts that, they don't have to be like purely positive. They can be purely negative as well. But those are golden thoughts either way. Even if they're fucking bad, even if you don't want to think about them, they have a meaningful place in your mind to think about and to meditate on and to really consider what they mean and consider their meaning and everything. That's all I had to say, man. Fucking journal, dude. It's like one of the best things that you could do for yourself. If you're still on self improvement and you're not journaling, bro, then you're wasting your fucking time, dude. Like, you could be making 10 times more progress just by adding in journaling. Like, it's fucking amazing, dude. I cannot believe that people don't do it more often, man. Do fucking journal, dude. See you later. Good luck.